This is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog network. And now, let's check in and see if CHARLEY-K1GZL is on frequency to bring us up to date on the latest 40-meter band propagation. Charlie's QTH is up north in northern New Hampshire, near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Yeah. Border. Charlie, got a copy? Yeah, Roger, you're about 10 over 9, direct, 10 over 9 direct with a short skip actually predominating. Overcast day here, overcast and 47 degrees. And we had some rain this morning, and the snow is all gone except for very isolated spots in the shade. So we're getting close to spring. There's no green grass yet, no buds on the trees, nothing. So the trees in the ground look like the dead of winter up here, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, how's your 40-meter transmissions to, where? I have a mental block. Tell me where you usually transmit in the morning, Charlie.
I have a mental block. Tell me where you usually transmit in the morning, Charlie. Into Australia, but I missed it by a couple of minutes. Ian, who I work quite often, VK3MO, got on a little earlier than I did. He was early, I was late, and I missed out. I'm going to be missing some of the schedules in the future. It's catching up to me on my sleep, so I'll probably do it about 4 days a week instead of 7, because I have to get up before 6 o'clock, way before 6, and I don't get to bed until after midnight. So I'll be in there, but not quite as frequent. The signal is absolutely pristine in here. Very good, but I understand the conditions were very good down into Australia. To give you an idea how you're coming in direct, here it is. Got a rotary switch for comparing multiple signals. Also today, we're running our input source indicator. So when we switch from an internet SDR... Okay, I hope that came through there. You're doing a great job direct. KC9VKV, K1GZL up in the northern end of New Hampshire.
Roger, Charlie. Well, thank you very much for the recording. I really appreciate that. Did you? I guess you're all okay now with your recording situation. Is that a Roger? With your recording situation, is that a Roger?
Yeah, it seems to be okay. It seems to be okay at present. I sure had a lot of problems with it, and I had to hold the microphone right up to the speaker on the cassette. But everything is electronic, and it's working like it used to. At least we hope, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, it sounded like everything was copacetic with the circumstance, but then there wasn't a lot of difference from when you were doing it by the microphone, playback by the microphone. Just maybe a slight amount of compression, I guess it was. Sounded just a little bit fuller through the mic, Roger.
Through the mic, Roger. You mean better than it does at the present time? Well, the microphone, of course, I'm using the wide position 3.6, the wide position, and much compression here at all. Just the 3 position on the 7300. But what I'm trying to do, Jim, just simply is sound like myself, sound like me, because you hear so many stations on that are so compressed, beginning to wonder what they sound like in person. Go ahead.
Oh, Roger that. That's why, in our tune-up procedure for the 7300, we do suggest engaging the compressor, but only at a 3. Just a very token amount that it does exactly what it needs to do, and it's very transparent. You can't hear it working, and I think that's the way equipment should be set up, to where it operates and does what it needs to do, but you don't hear it working. That's the best kind of a setup, I think. And then we move to that ALC and suggest that, they use their mic gain. Once they get their compressor in line, use their mic gain to adjust that ALC to about mid-scale to 2/3. And at that adjustment, your dynamic range is 3 dB, and your average percent of peak modulation is between 80 and 85%. Average peak modulation. Roger?
85% average peak modulation. Roger?
Roger on that, and we're trying to get everything to work correctly. The only problem is I don't have an antenna tuner at the moment, and we're up here on 7188. My SWR is not the greatest, and the output is down a little bit here. So, but we're trying. It could be next week at this time. Could be next week at this time if conditions will permit. I'll have another aeronautical mobile from KX4 Whiskey Charlie. That's nice. He'll be flying a transport Boeing 767 from Sacramento to Philadelphia there, and we'll probably pick him up over Nebraska or Iowa. And he really does, with a 7-8 foot piece of wire toward the back of the plane and 400 watts input. He does one heck of a job on 20 meters. I mean, he rocks and rolls even if the band's halfway open. And at the moment, I do have an electrical noise, but he generally covers that up in good shape. Well, Jim, thank you so much. Thank you for picking me up today, and we'll try to be in here tomorrow. I suspect you are picking me up from Rochester, New York. KC9VKV, always a pleasure. K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, I had to fade back to Milford. Milford came up with a little hotter signal, so I just decided to stay with Milford. But I looked at about a 12 over their local noise level at Milford, so good signal. So, Charlie, 3ST, sir, thanks for dropping by. And, we might run just a little bit long today, just to kind of check the situation. We were talking about maybe starting our net a little bit later, but probably we want to kind of test the waters to see how that extra hour goes. So we'll probably be doing that this afternoon. Roger?
Probably be doing that this afternoon. Roger?
Okay, well, good luck on that, and let me know next week how that worked out. I think it probably would be a little better because you still have daytime absorption going on, and that is probably limiting it, or limiting it. That's better English, I think. Limiting it just a little bit, Jim. So. I think if it were an hour later or an hour and a half later, it would be more consistent, and the signal would even be a little bit stronger. 73, Jim, and thanks always for good one, and you've been absolutely solid right in the shack here. KC9VKV, K1GZL, the best. See you next week.
Roger, Charlie. 3Z. Wait, sir. You have a great afternoon and a beautiful weekend coming up, and we'll see you next Friday. 3s. This is KC9VKV. My name is Jim, known in some circles as Dr. VKV, and this is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog net. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.